When I gifted my parents a trip to Hawaii for their wedding anniversary, they invited my sister without telling me and upgraded their room to a suite on their own, saying, "You're just the wallet. Pay up and go home," while laughing. When the manager said to me, "We've been expecting you," their smiles disappeared. My name is Heather Collins, and at the age of 40, it might seem to the casual observer that I am living a wonderfully charmed life as the proprietor of a thriving investment advisory firm located in the bustling heart of New York City. However, a rather profound event that unfolded recently has dramatically altered the trajectory of my life. This incident revisits me with stark clarity, akin to a vividly scripted scene straight out of a movie, conjuring a tumultuous mix of emotions that stubbornly linger within me, yet paradoxically bring a sense of clarity. Please allow me the opportunity to share this transformative experience with you. Everything started with an elaborate plan to celebrate the 40th wedding anniversary of my parents with an unforgettable trip to Hawaii. My father, Edward, alongside my mother, Michelle, harbored a long-standing dream to visit Hawaii ever since their youthful days. However, they were never able to realize this dream due to the relentless demands and sacrifices that come with raising a family. Driven by a desire to give back something truly special to my parents after all the years of their hard work and dedication, I made the decision to give them this much-coveted trip to Hawaii. I spent considerable time poring over travel brochures and eventually reserved a room in a stunning hotel that boasted an exquisite ocean view. When I unveiled the surprise to my parents, their reaction was of sheer joy, their eyes lighting up with childlike excitement, witnessing their joyful smiles. I felt deep down that giving them this trip was absolutely the right decision. However, this fleeting moment of joy was unfortunately short-lived. My younger sister, Abby, who at 35 is 5 years younger than me, unexpectedly disrupted the plans. Abby has always had a keen sense for seizing opportunities that would benefit her personally. In our childhood days, she always snatched my toys away and harbored envy towards my accomplishments, and it appears that her personality has not changed in her adult years. Upon discovering the Hawaii trip I had organized for our parents, she immediately declared, "I'm going to." With that, what was supposed to be a peaceful family vacation suddenly became complicated. Reflecting on our shared past, this behavior from Abby was not entirely unexpected. She has consistently imposed her desires at every pivotal moment in my life, embodying selfishness and a deep-seated need to always be the center of attention. During family gatherings, she would dominate conversations, seldom showing any interest in listening to others. I have a vivid recollection of an incident at a dinner meant to celebrate my new job. Our parents had reserved a table at a Japanese restaurant to celebrate my embarkation on a new career path. However, Abby created a scene, exclaiming, "I hate sushi. Change it to Italian." Eventually, we switched to her preferred Italian restaurant. "There," she complained, "it's always about you, even though I have exams." Ruining the celebratory atmosphere. Family vacations have invariably revolved around her preferences. Even when I would organize plans, Abby would assert, "This place would be better," and our parents, often swayed by her arguments, would concur with Abby has a point, resulting in us ultimately conceding to her wishes. A particularly memorable incident occurred during our father's 60th birthday celebration. I had devoted several months to preparing a heartfelt video montage celebrating his life, but as soon as it started playing, Abby interrupted, proclaiming, "Before that, I have an important announcement." She then proceeded to promote her new social media channel, overshadowing the entire event with her self-centered promotion. Abby has habitually positioned herself at the forefront and attempted to steal others' special moments for herself. Our family has perennially excused her behavior, rationalizing it with, "It's just Abby," but this has only served to further enable her self-centered tendencies. I could foresee this trip possibly unfolding in much the same way. Initially, I contemplated refusing her participation, but as has often been the case, the words of my parents, "Let's all go as a family since it's a special occasion," persuaded me to relent. I reluctantly consented. Despite my reservations about potentially spoiling the celebratory atmosphere by engaging in an argument with my sister, I cautioned Abby, "Please don't do anything selfish this time." To which she nonchalantly replied, "Of course, I know." Despite my numerous reservations, I opted to regard the trip as a valuable opportunity for a family vacation, especially since we had not traveled together since reaching adulthood. On the day of departure, we all gathered early at the airport, filled with excitement about our long-anticipated family trip. We boarded the plane to Hawaii, and throughout the flight, Abby was preoccupied with taking selfies and uploading them to her social media platforms, excitedly exclaiming, "It's my first time going to Hawaii." Her apparent innocence and joy did little to alleviate my growing apprehensions. Upon our arrival at Honolulu International Airport in the late evening, the taxi ride to the hotel was spent with my parents fondly reminiscing about their younger days while admiring the scenic streets of Waikiki, which provided me with a modicum of relief. At least they seemed genuinely happy. However, this peace was abruptly interrupted. As we approached the hotel's front desk to confirm our reservation, Abby suddenly interjected, "I'll handle the reservation." This was unusual since Abby typically deferred such responsibilities to me. As I listened to her interact with the front desk staff, I sensed that something was amiss. "Your reservation is for an ocean view suite?" the staff member informed us. I was taken aback as I had indeed booked an ocean view room, but it was certainly not a suite. "Just wait a moment," I interjected as Abby swiftly responded, Yes, it's the suite," and proceeded to hasten the check-in process. My parents expressed their delight. "A suite, really?" which rapidly escalated my suspicions. As we made our way to our room after completing the check-in, I confronted Abby to clarify the situation. "What is going on?" "I booked a standard room," I demanded. She replied with a defiant tone. "Come on, it's a special trip to Hawaii for our parents' 40th anniversary. Isn't a suite more fitting?" I called and had it upgraded. Hearing this, I felt something inside me about to burst. "An upgrade on your own initiative. What about the additional charges?" I inquired. "Of course, you're paying, right? I already informed the front desk that you would cover it," she stated matter-of-factly. "Isn't a suite quite expensive?" my parents remarked, yet they appeared somewhat pleased. My father even endorsed her actions, stating, "Sometimes a little luxury is nice." My mother added more hurtful words. "You earn well, so it's perfectly fine for you to spend on your family occasionally." Although anger welled up inside me, I chose to suppress it this time, not wishing to spoil our parents' significant anniversary celebration. The room was indeed breathtaking in its view and size, which would usually impress anyone. However, my heart had already grown cold. "Hey, this view from the balcony is amazing." "Thanks, Heather." Abby acted as though I had enthusiastically agreed to the upgrade, making me question if I had consistently been too accommodating with my family. Reflecting on the past, I realized that my family's financial exploitation began to intensify around the time my business started to flourish. It began with what my father termed a temporary loan. His business was experiencing difficulties, and he approached me asking, "Could you lend me $30,000? At that time, my business was just beginning to turn a profit. That capital was crucial for expanding operations, yet I lent it to him, trusting his promise to repay it. Regrettably, not only did he fail to pay any interest, but he also never repaid the principal. My mother frequently reached out to me, almost on a monthly basis, lamenting, "We're really short on living expenses," attributing this financial shortfall to my father's diminished income. Observing the financial hardships faced by my parents, I felt an overwhelming obligation to contribute approximately $1,000 each month to alleviate their struggles. Additionally, I took on the full financial responsibility for Abby's education. She chose a private university with annual tuition fees exceeding $10,000, which our parents could never afford. It was an unspoken agreement within the family that I would bear this burden. The total expenditure neared $60,000 justified as for my sister's future, which I could not refuse. Even after Abby graduated, I continued to underwrite her living expenses. More than a decade later, she has yet to secure any form of stable employment, and her various attempts at part-time jobs rarely lasted beyond a month. Despite this, she continued to indulge in dining out and going on trips under the pretense of job hunting with her friends, with all related bills invariably being forwarded to me. In stark contrast to the financial support I extended, my own lifestyle was decidedly modest. Despite being the owner of a company, my actual take-home salary was surprisingly less than that of my employees. I made it a habit to shop during sales, only purchasing new clothes a few times each year, and I resided in a 30-year-old apartment that had seen better days. Although the financial statements of my company might present a picture of health and profitability, my personal life was consistently constrained by a stringent budget. After long hours of overtime, I would return to my humble abode only to dine on instant noodles, and during holidays, I preferred to stay indoors to further curtail any unnecessary expenditures. The salary that could have been utilized for my personal enjoyment and comfort was instead consistently diverted to meet the financial needs of my family. Reflecting on the financial records, I had transferred over $500,000 to support my family in the past 5 years alone. Despite the immense financial burden, I had convinced myself that such sacrifices were just the normative expectations within a family context, and thus I endured it without complaint. Now upon reflection, these financial sacrifices starkly symbolize the overarching narrative of my life. This ongoing situation came to a head during the Hawaii trip, prompting me to initiate a plan. In a discreet manner, I extracted my smartphone and reached out to Ben Walters, a trusted business partner who had been with me since the very inception of my company. "Ben, I need a favor." I succinctly explained the predicament and requested his assistance in contacting the hotel manager. Ben quickly grasped the gravity of the situation and acted promptly. As I observed the unfolding events, a slow-burning anger at being treated as nothing more than a cash cow began to intensify within me. That evening, we collectively decided to enjoy a family dinner in the main dining room of the hotel, acquiescing to Abby's preference for that particular venue. Ordinarily, I would steer clear of such upscale dining establishments. However, considering the special nature of the trip, I chose to indulge this one time. The restaurant exuded a luxurious ambiance filled with the soothing sounds of live music in the background. Yet, as I perused the menu, my heart sank at the sight of the exorbitant prices. Appetizers alone were priced in the tens, and main dishes frequently exceeded $100. Without any apparent concern for cost, Abby immediately ordered the most expensive steak on the menu. The side dishes she selected, such as sautéed foie gras and truffle risotto, were equally lavish. Following her lead, my parents casually ordered from the high-end selections available. My father even suggested, "Since we're here, let's go ahead and order the finest wine available," while Abby nonchalantly ordered opulent seafood dishes as casually as if she were selecting a meal from a takeout store. As I watched them nonchalantly order one luxurious dish after another, a sense of suffocation began to envelop me. Did they truly believe my financial resources were infinite? They seemed utterly oblivious to the extent of my daily economizing. I am not inherently wealthy. I work tirelessly every day simply to provide for our basic family needs of four. Yet, oblivious to my personal financial sacrifices, my parents and sister indulged in luxuries that were frankly infuriating. As we commenced our meal, Abby, pouring red wine into her glass, remarked with a beaming smile, "Heather, aren't we incredibly fortunate to dine in such an exquisite restaurant? It's all thanks to you." Then, my sister uttered words that were profoundly hurtful, albeit possibly intended in jest. "Heather, you're essentially like a walking wallet for our family, aren't you? You should have brought along a suitcase filled with cash as a special treat for today." While she likely meant this as a lighthearted joke, the words cut deep, leaving a lasting wound. My parents chuckled in agreement, yet to me, their laughter did not sound like innocent jesting. It felt more like a veiled criticism, a stark revelation that they did not truly value my contributions. It appeared that their genuine perceptions had finally come to light. They saw me merely as a convenient source of financial support, a wallet for the family. I struggled to muster a witty retort. Managing even a forced smile was a challenge. Internally, a mix of anger and profound sadness surged like a volcanic eruption. I am more than just an ATM. I am not merely a financial resource for their whims. I longed to vocalize these feelings, but the words stubbornly stuck in my throat. Over the years, I have made immense financial sacrifices for my family. I covered my sister's entire tuition and consistently assisted with my parents' living expenses. Despite these substantial contributions, they have never truly expressed gratitude and have taken my financial support for granted as if it were their due. This dessert platter looks tantalizingly delicious as well, doesn't it? "Heather, could you please?" my sister nonchalantly requested, pointing at the dessert menu with the same sense of entitlement that had always characterized her demands. Clenching my teeth behind a polite smile, I responded, "Of course." As the meal drew to a close, it was time to settle the bill. The waiter approached our table, presenting the bill on a polished silver tray. Seizing the moment to escape the mounting tension, I excused myself, stating, "I need to make a quick phone call," and stepped away from the table. In a secluded corner, I made a final confirmation call to Ben. Upon my return to the restaurant, I found Abby still indulging in her dessert. "I have a small errand to attend to, so I'll head back to our room first," I informed them calmly. "Where are you going?" Abby inquired, a puzzled expression crossing her face. "I'll be right back," I reassured her and proceeded to leave the restaurant. As I exited, the echoing laughter of Abby and my parents lingered in the air, sounding almost mocking in its tone. Back in the solitude of my room, I received an agitated call from Abby. Her voice resonated with piercing shrills. "Heather, where did you go? Why aren't you returning to the restaurant?" Anger was palpable in her tone. "You're not seriously expecting us to pay, are you?" I responded calmly. "I've arranged for the bill to be sent directly to you." Her response was akin to a scream, resonating sharply through the phone. In the background, I could hear the tumultuous uproar of my parents with a smirk. I ended the call, the image of their astonished expressions bringing an involuntary smile to my face. Indeed, I had previously requested Ben, leveraging his extensive business connections, to liaise with the hotel manager on my behalf. Ben, understanding the delicacy of the situation, promptly contacted the hotel manager. During my absence from the restaurant, he managed to have the payment temporarily suspended and subsequently arranged for the bill to be charged directly to my family later. My gratitude towards Ben is profound. He is a steadfast business partner who consistently handles my most challenging requests with grace and efficiency. Just minutes later, it appeared that the hotel manager had executed the billing as planned. In a frenzied state, my parents hastily extracted their credit card to settle the unexpectedly direct bill. Upon my return to the restaurant, following the confirmation of their payment, Abby accosted me, her face ashen with shock. "What's the meaning of this? Why didn't you pay? How embarrassing!" she erupted, heedless of the setting. I countered with a frosty smile. "Well, you insisted on the suite upgrade, didn't you? And you ordered all that extravagant food. Why not pay with your own money for once?" Abby was momentarily speechless, her face flushed with burgeoning anger, while my parents processed the situation and fell into a subdued silence. My father's expression bore an apologetic hue, but my mother looked notably displeased. As we exited the restaurant and made our way back to the hotel room, Abby's anger remained palpably visible. "Unbelievable. Heather, you've made us look like fools." Everyone was laughing at us. Her voice was sharp, scalding my ears like boiling water. I replied with composed clarity, "The embarrassment is yours alone. You rely on others' finances and act recklessly. That's what led to this outcome. I just wanted to experience staying in a suite. I just wanted to dine in a fancy restaurant. What is so terribly wrong with that?" Abby's fury escalated as she continued to spout a litany of self-centered arguments. However, the following morning presented an unforeseen twist. Upon my descent for breakfast, I found my parents already seated at the restaurant, yet Abby was conspicuously absent. "Where's Abby?" I inquired, prompting a profound sigh from my mother. "She secluded herself in her room last night, relentlessly blaming you for everything, but it really made us think." My father, tightly clutching his coffee cup, commenced speaking in subdued tones. "Heather, we've relied on you excessively for far too many years, particularly in matters concerning Abby." My mother, her eyes brimming with tears, added, "We have never truly acknowledged your feelings. We've overly indulged Abby, placing an unfair burden on you." Their admissions resonated deeply with me. However, nearly 2 decades of financial exploitation and emotional manipulation are not easily forgivable. Throughout the flight back from Hawaii, Abby refrained from speaking to either our parents or me. Once we returned, the complexities only intensified. Abby started harassing me persistently. She bombarded me with a torrent of furious messages, all of which I chose to ignore. Her messages were laced with bitterness. "You destroyed our family. You're heartless. I will never speak to you again." Phrases that echoed the petulance of a child's tantrum. On a subsequent day, my parents visited my residence, bearing an old photo album. "Heather, do you recall this photograph?" My mother pointed to an image of Abby and me as children, a time when our sibling bond appeared unbreakable. We were so close back then. The album was replete with photographs depicting happier times. A Christmas party where we all shared genuine smiles, a beach scene where we as sisters collaborated on a sand castle. Yet, these images now ironically underscored the eroded trust and distorted dynamics within our family. "Can't we start over?" My mother's voice was laden with a pleading undertone, but my resolve remained unyielding. Years of navigating imbalanced relationships, enduring one-sided transactions, and suffering through emotional manipulation cannot simply be mended with a single photograph. "I'm sorry, but I can't go back." Upon hearing this, my mother's voice broke as she choked up, and my father let out a deep, sorrowful sigh. In the aftermath, I made a decisive move to send one final, unequivocal message in our family messenger group. For years, I have devoted myself to my family. I've covered tuition, living expenses, and provided countless forms of support. Despite these efforts, our interactions never reflected a relationship of mutual love and respect. Now, I choose to embark on a different path in life. This decision is not about abandoning the family, but rather choosing my own life. I kindly ask that you refrain from any further contact. Goodbye. After transmitting the message, I swiftly exited the group and proceeded to block all family members' contacts on my devices. While there was indeed a deep-seated pain in my chest, it was unmistakably the pain of embarking on a new beginning. I was no longer shackled by someone else's expectations or demands. A week later, while busily preparing for a new project at work, Ben approached my desk with concern. "Heather, are you okay?" I responded with a genuine smile and said, "Yes, actually, I feel refreshed. Now I can truly move forward." 3 months after severing ties with my family, I came to learn of significant changes in the lives of my parents and sister through updates shared by Ben, who had gathered information from a mutual acquaintance. Abby, stripped of the financial support I once provided, found herself unable to sustain her previously lavish lifestyle. She resorted to selling her designer clothes and bags and was compelled to relocate to a more affordable apartment in the suburbs. Her typically flamboyant posts on social media came to a halt, And in a twist of fate, she took on employment at a grocery store, marking her first genuine job. Meanwhile, my parents also confronted substantial life alterations. My father, faced with the necessity to reassess his retirement plans, along with my mother, started taking on part-time jobs to make ends meet. The most shocking development was the deterioration of the relationship between Abby and our parents. "It's your fault that Heather left." My mother blamed Abby, deepening the family rift. Abby ended up moving out from our parents' home, and now they barely meet once a month. On the other hand, my father seems to regret our estrangement. According to Ben, he was occasionally seen lingering outside my company's building, though he never ventured inside. My mother, seeking some form of solace and understanding, began attending community counseling sessions and started to come to terms with their past mistakes. She has even confessed to neighbors, "We treated our daughter like a cash cow," acknowledging their misguided actions. Ironically, this painful separation might have been contemplate a more pragmatic approach to their lifestyle. Although it may have been a painful change, it was likely a necessary process for their growth. While I do not directly confirm their current status through sporadic pieces of information, I sense that they too are gradually beginning to forge new paths in their lives. It's not an easy journey, but at least they have broken free from our previously unhealthy mutual dependency. I have no regrets about my decisions. In fact, I am convinced that I made the right choice. I now feel a profound sense of liberation for my family. This liberation is akin to being released from a burdensome yoke that had weighed heavily upon me for years. However, nestled deep within me, there lingers a slight unease. Should I really continue to maintain this severance from my family? Was my decision truly the correct one? Such questions occasionally flutter through my thoughts, but I promptly quash these doubts. I have ceased sacrificing my well-being for the sake of my family. From this point forward, I am resolved to pursue a life focused solely on my own happiness.